This lecture is the pulse and release onset, or otherwise known as the light mass onset. The pulse and release onset is designed to, well, its main purpose is to help you get into a light mass phonation. So those of you that feel that your training or your singing voice is too heavy, those of you that feel that you're grinding your voice, which we touched on in the track and release onset, and those of you that would like to just sing in a lighter phonation, that aren't really into maybe rock belting, but a lighter, floatier sound color, could benefit a lot in practicing the pulse and release onset. This is the pulse and release onset. The pulse and release onset starts with vibratory mechanism M0, which just simply means vocal fry. Vocal fry. Okay. Another word for vocal fry, it means the same thing, is pulse register. Okay, so pulse and release onset is the vocal fry onset, or the vibratory mechanism M0 onset. All right? So vocal fry onset, pulse and release onset, or the light mass onset to help you get into a light position. Here is the pulse and release onset. I'm going to put a little bit of vocal fry in front and then release into my vowel. Hear that? Got the cry, fry, 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 cry, fry, cry, fry, fry, cry in the morning. Give it another one. Notice my pulse and release onset. As soon as I release into the vowel, I'm not going to add a lot of respiration or a lot of vocal fold compression. I'm not going to twang into it hard. I'm not going to blow into it hard. I'm trying to keep it light and floaty. I don't want to add acoustic mass to the pulse and release onset. I want to keep it light. Fry, cry, cry, fry. Nice and light, floaty and pretty. Do another one. Notice that on all of these onset videos, when I'm practicing them, and you would do the same thing, I'm working the onset on every key of the piano. And I'm just going up and down chromatically so that I get a chance to practice the onset on every note. One more, the pulse and release onset. At the moment that the onset is connected and phonating, that you have a tone of sorts, that's where you stop in your mass. So again, don't lean into the pulse and release onset. Don't squeeze into it. Don't blow into it too hard. Just let it float nice and easy. I'll do another one that's a little bit higher in my head voice. Now, the ability to vocal fry on high head voice notes tends to get difficult at some point. At some point, it's kind of hard to get that vocal fry on the higher position. So you can still fry on a lower note, more or less, although the vocal fry actually doesn't really have a lot of real defined pitch in it anyways. But on the higher notes, you can fry a little bit lower and release to the right pitch, and it still works fine. And that's what I'll do here. Watch. There's an A4. It's difficult to fry an A4, so I'm just going to fry a little bit lower, but then release into the A4. Pulse and release onset. notice that these phonations are light and prettier? It's not, it's not a big heavy attack and release onset. It's not a belting onset, which is coming. It's light and pretty. So that's the pulse and release onset. Now, let's talk about the musculature and coordination benefits of the pulse and release onset. Looking at the table, the pulse and release onset establishes the ability to onset very deep, heady placements. That means that with the pulse and release onset, you can get really good heady placements, really deep into your formant positions. So it's helpful in getting some activity, getting a nice response in your head voice. Second, musculature and coordination benefit trains the body to release the constrictors and free the voice. That's a really good point. If you're choking and pushing as you get close to your vocal break and into your head voice, well, the pulse and release onset is really great because it's so light and floaty. It's really great for releasing some of the constriction on that. That's to say, a note that you're singing or training that might be choky and constricted, if you step back and come at it again with a pulse and release onset, you may have some success. It may respond nicely for you. Looking at the troubleshoots for the pulse and release onset. The pulse and release onset is really great for shutting down heavy mass phonations and enabling the voice to calibrate for a light mass phonation. I think that's pretty much what I've been saying since this video started. Next, troubleshoot. It works as a governor by putting a ceiling on the mass of the phonation, helping the singer to execute a light mass phonation. Now, what do I mean that by governor? In the United States, probably other countries, if you are, I wish I could think of a better metaphor, but it makes a lot of sense. If you are arrested for driving intoxicated, okay, if you're arrested for driving drunk, in the United States, the court will put a governor on your car. And what that does is it prevents you from being able to start your car until you blow into a little pipe and it makes sure that you haven't been drinking. Or the governor also prevents you from driving over a certain speed. So the court, the government puts a governor on your car that kind of governs whether you can start your car and how fast you're going to go. So the pulse and release onset is kind of like a governor of the mass of your phonation. It helps you stay light and floaty. Again, those of you that are kind of pushing and are on heavy mass phonations, go to the pulse and release onset. It will teach you and your body, it'll teach your body to onset in a lighter, less fatiguing, and less pushy way. And it stops constriction and pushing. So that's really what it's about. That is the benefit and the reasons why you would go to a pulse and release onset. It's also like the track and release onset. It's also a coordination and tuning onset. It's not a belty resistance training onset. All right? Now, let's move on to the next lesson on onsets.